La Banque européenne d'investissement, c'est la banque des Européens. Ça veut dire que chaque État, lorsqu'il devient membre de l'Union européenne, devient automatiquement actionnaire de la BEI. Et donc, on est au service de tous les Européens, de tous les États européens, pour mettre en place les politiques prioritaires pour accroître la croissance et la compétitivité en Europe, mais aussi avec les pays partenaires. Et donc, c'est très important pour nous d'écouter non seulement les ministres des Finances et leurs représentants, qui sont nos actionnaires, mais aussi la société civile pour avoir de la diversité, comprendre les tendances en cours. Et donc, une fois par an, nous programmons avec elle les sujets d'actualité pour harmoniser nos calendriers. Cette année 2008 a été une année totalement exceptionnelle où on a dû commencer à réagir de façon très forte pour que, au moment où la crise atteignait son paroxysme, au moment où les autres banques étaient tentées de stabiliser ou de réduire leurs crédits, au contraire, la Banque européenne d'investissement, elle, accroisse ses crédits à l'économie. Et cet effort supplémentaire, le pari que nous prenons, c'est qu'il soit ciblé sur 3 secteurs: les PME, parce que c'est le cœur de l'emploi, la lutte contre le changement climatique, parce que c'est le cœur de l'innovation, et la convergence, parce que c'est le cœur de la solidarité européenne. Le deuxième pari que nous prenons, c'est de le faire sans compromettre la qualité des projets. Autrement dit, malgré cette charge de travail supplémentaire que représente cet effort de 15 milliards d'euros de prêts de plus, nous continuerons à mettre en œuvre un examen scrupuleux de chacun des projets pour vérifier sa rentabilité économique et sociale, pour vérifier qu'il est conforme aux critères écologiques dont nous nous sommes dotés et qu'il donne lieu à une consultation au moins aussi approfondie que ce que nous faisions dans le passé.
What measures do you have in place to sort of guarantee quality of the investments? Obviously, big quantity.
Regarding SMEs, I've launched in 2006 and 2007 a large consultation all over Europe to listen to the SMEs organizations themselves, and not only to the banks, and not only to the governments, to hear what they think about what we were doing. We came to the conclusion that, first of all, they didn't know we were providing loans to them indirectly, and second, that the process we were in were too cumbersome, let's say. We have simplified drastically the requirements. So the checklist is much, much simpler for the intermediary bank to fill in. And on the contrary, we have increased dramatically the requirement for transparency, communication with the final beneficiary, so that each beneficiary of these new loans will be informed that this loan has been financed with the support of the European institution, which is EIB. And we have requested also the intermediary banks to inform the SME of what is the financial advantage they get from this.
I was wondering if in the situation that we are in, we are very clear about the climate crisis, is the bank putting its own cap on CO2 that your projects are, or projects that you finance up?
We have to look at the scope of the exercise. Are we going to look at all the greenhouse gases or just CO2? Are we going to look at large projects or all our projects? There is the technical question of the boundary. What actually is a project? How far upstream and downstream do you go? If you've got an aluminium project, do you look at how the bauxite's been produced and transported? And thirdly, just to illustrate the complexity of the issue, are you looking at absolute emissions or relative emissions? Take a gas-fired power plant. When you finance a gas-powered power plant, is that resulting in an increase in emissions or a decrease in emissions? And you say, hang on, he's stupid. But it depends on what the counterfactual is. If you're replacing a coal-fired plant with a gas-fired plant, arguably emissions are going down. On the other hand, if gas is being promoted at the expense of renewable energy as a viable alternative, then emissions are going up. We want that pilot exercise to run through 2009, and towards the end of 2009 we'll make available the findings of that exercise, and it will be the basis of a recommendation to our board as to how to go forward on this exercise.
With great pleasure, I have seen a couple of weeks ago the statement of the joint action of EIB, EBRD and the World Bank on supporting the banking sector in Central and Eastern European countries. I was wondering if and how you're going to cooperate with the European Commission, for example, with the European Neighbourhood Policy.
It's a joint action which was published by EIB, IFC, the private sector arm of the World Bank, and EBRD to strongly support access to finance in the Eastern and Central European countries. Financing is available on our side, but financing is not ending in the final beneficiaries that we would like to target, that is to say mainly the SMEs. So we need to understand why. So with this publicity, which has been provided through this announcement, we wanted for people and companies and governments in this region of Europe to know, so publicize that this is available. They have to request. That is the first mean. Second, we would like to understand why some banks claiming that they are not able to allocate funds to the SMEs have access to our funding. So we have decided on our part that we will have a meeting with each and every of those banks to have a detailed discussion. And our first analysis is that the situation is totally different from one country to another in this very same region. So we will certainly at the end of the day have a country analysis and perhaps some measures targeted at national level.
Je crois que ce qui est très important pour nous, c'est de développer des relations de confiance. Confiance dans les deux sens. C'est-à-dire que nous essayons d'écouter les organisations non gouvernementales pour apprendre de leur expérience de terrain, pour mettre à disposition nos projets et ainsi les améliorer. Et nous espérons que réciproquement, elles accroîtront leur confiance dans la BEI pour que lorsque nous apportons un projet, elles le voient comme quelque chose de positif pour mettre en place les politiques européennes et l'intérêt des Européens et des bénéficiaires.